Happy morning, everyone. This is Dr. K. Abhinaya from the Department of English, St. Joseph's College of Engineering. Today, I will be talking about developing confidence through the speech planning process. Here, we'll be talking about confidence, speech planning processes, apprehension, etc. These are some of the key terms that we will be discussing today. To begin with, understanding public speaking apprehension. So, apprehension is nothing but stage fright or stage fear. It is often using words like well, I guess, that, etc. These are the signs of apprehension, nothing but stage fear. So, this becomes often when you are questioned all of a sudden. One way to get rid of your apprehension is to develop confidence. Confidence stays in one only with proper speech planning. In order to overcome apprehension, you need to plan your speech properly. Moving on to the next slide, signs of apprehension. So there are certain signs of apprehension. For example, it can be either physical or verbal. Example, feeling a stomach upset, flushed skin, sweating, shaking, rapid movement of your hands, legs, and having heartbeats, heavy heartbeats, etc. are all physical apprehension. Verbally, you might be using a lot of words like repeatedly using certain words or phrases. So these are all signs of apprehension. There are various types in it, and it also varies from one person to person. So it is also from mild to a hectic one, depending on the level in which you are. And moving on to the next slide, there are three phases of apprehension. First phase is called anticipation reaction. Second one, confrontation reaction. And third one, adoption reaction. Moving on to the first one, anticipation reaction. So this is a graph where you can analyze when you begin your presentation, usually your apprehension is high. So it raises and then when you overcome minute one, it reduces a little bit. And when you withstand for 2 minutes, it reduces and gradually your apprehension becomes normal. The concept is that once you begin your presentation, your stage fright is more and it reduces as the time goes by. This is the stage of apprehension. Moving on to the next slide, you can analyze yourself. If you are planning to give your presentation, you can answer these questions so that you can prepare your speech accordingly. First one, I have no fear of giving a speech. Whether you strongly agree, undecided, disagree, or strongly disagree, you need to analyze yourself. Again, moving on to the next one, certain parts of my body feel very tense and rigid while giving a speech. Sometimes people feel having a butterfly in the stomach. So you need to analyze whether you feel tensed or sweating or having a high heartbeat, etc. You need to rate yourself. Moving on to the third question, I feel relaxed while giving a speech. So if you are confident, if you feel that your language is good, you might be agreeing to the statement. Next one, my thoughts become confused and jumbled when I am giving a speech. So there are some people who have a lot of stuff, content rich, but they might be confused or jumbled while delivering their lecture. So if you are such kind of a person, then you need to rate accordingly. Next point is I face the prospect of giving a speech with confidence. Whether you agree, disagree, or undecided, you need to analyze. And lastly, while giving a speech, I get so nervous, I forget the facts I really know. So you before giving a speech, try to analyze yourself so that you can prepare your speech accordingly. This is called personal assessment report so that you will have a better understanding of yourself, self introspect, and evaluate yourself. Moving on to the next slide. Causes of speech apprehension. As we have begun with apprehension, which is nothing but stage fear or stage fright, we are dealing with causes of speech apprehension. It might be based on your um, previous experience, or it might depend on your level of skills, or it might be there already within you. So, these are some of the reasons for your apprehension. Moving on to the next one, biologically based temperament. So in this case, your apprehension is inborn. Some people are nervous because they are introvert. They don't mingle with others. They're not like extrovert. Therefore, they feel general anxiety, depression, guilt feelings, shyness, mood swings, and irritational thoughts. So these are inborn. You can only overcome these feelings by practicing yourself. And there is extrovert people are sociable, they are active, they are assertive. They might tackle the situation being an extrovert. So these are also some of the reasons. Like basically you are inborn qualities. It can be trained, it can be overcome only by having sufficient practice. And you need to overcome your negative aspects. Next one, the second point is ideal level of apprehension. So, as one of the speakers or Professor Gerald Phillips has rightly pointed out, nervousness is not negative. So, if you feel nervous, you need not feel negative. In fact, learning proceeds best when the organism is in a state of tension. Hope you understand the sentence. So, which tells that some amount of tension is constructive. Apprehension is not an impairment. So if you feel stage fright or stage fear, you need not feel bad because some amount of stress or nervousness is actually good. Remember, the nervousness is not only excitement and anxiety, it's only energy in a positive way. How to overcome your public speaking apprehension. So this is the next important concept. The points include communication, orientation, motivation, visualization, systematic desensitization, and public speaking skills training. So, these are some of the ways by which you can train yourself to speak better. Next, communication, orientation, motivation. So here it is giving an opportunity to speak, making rehearsals, training yourself to perform better, like focused on passing on our message to the audience. So you need extensive training where you are given motivation and training to perform better during your presentation. So this requires special delivery techniques. So you should have in mind that you need to impress the audience aesthetically. You need to prepare in such a way that people should not judge you, rather, they should learn from you and learn out of your content. That's how your presentation must be. So, you need to make the audience to listen to your message rather than judging your performance. So, anxiety may come down. So, when you're thorough with the concept, when you're ready with the proper speech plan, you'll be able to perform better. Moving on to next technique, visualization. This is one of the good techniques which you can always follow, not only in this particular field, there is elsewhere. So it is assuming yourself doing better. So imagine you wish to get first rank, then you can assume yourself scoring first mark and receiving the certificate or medal. Thereby, you get intrinsic motivation and that helps you to perform better. So it is mental picture of ourselves giving a masterful speech. So you need to assume, you need to visualize as if you're doing so. And when you do so, it helps you to overcome the mental and emotional causes. As Joe and Claudia have rightly pointed out, visualization provides better chances of success while speaking. And as I told you earlier, this is not only used here, extensively used in sports and other fields. So first one, having intensive training. Second one, visualization, imagining yourself performing better. And other alternative techniques include learning relaxation techniques. Like before presenting your ideas, before your presentation, you can relax yourself. You can do either a meditation for a minute or two. You can calm down. So it depends on the individual. So if you are an introvert, then you need to rehearse accordingly. Yeah, having some techniques in order to overcome the apprehension. These are reducing apprehension by imagining more frightening events. Maybe one of the techniques is that if you are frightened to give a performance, then you can imagine where you had a better experience than giving a presentation, thereby calming yourself and learning relaxation techniques. And these will help you perform better during your presentation. Moving on to the next slide, specific techniques allow sufficient time to prepare. So, as we discussed earlier, proper speech plan is important. Imagine you're traveling without a proper plan. What happens? You do not reach the destination. Similarly, you need to know what you are preparing, what you are talking of, what you are going to talk about, and you need to prepare. Sufficient time is required to prepare your content and practice your speech aloud, having a lot of rehearsals. You need to practice loudly, especially in front of the mirror. And most importantly, you should choose appropriate time to speak. Probably if you're speaking after your lunch, what happens? People feel sleepy. And if it is early in the morning, they tend to listen better. So you need to choose appropriate time so that you do your task properly and use positive self talk, and you need to face the audience, focus on sharing your ideas. All these are some of the techniques which you need to follow in order to give proper presentation. Facing the audience, this is equally important because eye contact is important factor which you need to have while communicating. Next one, to prepare an effective speech plan, follow 6 steps. So, 6 steps have been given. First one, based on the audience and occasion, you need to prepare your speech goal and you need to understand your audience. So, imagine if you're children, if your audience is children, then you need to prepare with a lot of jokes and humor. If it is an educated gathering, then you need to have a lot of information in your presentation. So you need to understand your audience and you need to adapt to the situation. And the third one, gathering and evaluating information to use in the speech. So you need to gather relevant information so that you can use appropriately in your speech. Developing ideas into well-structured speech outline. So having a proper map before your destination. So you need to have a well-structured speech outline. So this is how it is going to be. My introduction is going to be like this. These are the content I'm going to deliver, and this is how I'll conclude. Like that, you need to have a proper speech outline. And then choosing proper visual aids. Visual aids are having diagrams, charts, images in order to explain your concepts clearly. And most importantly, you need to practice a speech before you deliver. Next one, specific speech goal suitable to audience and occasion. So you need to know your audience and your subject or topic matters because only if you are thorough with the topic, you'll be able to deliver it well. Therefore, you need to choose your topic wisely and you need to be familiar with the audience. Who are they and what do they need to know out of your presentation, whether you're giving new information or something that they've already learned, etc. And you need to also make a study based on their gender, culture, educational level, occupation, etc. Only then it will be relevant. And you should also consider the setting, whether it is going to be an air conditioned hall or a normal. Accordingly, you have to have your content. Moving on to the next slide, understanding your audience and adapting. Adaptations means presenting ideas verbally, visually, vocally. So there are people who can learn better if they see, and some people might learn better if they're listening, and some are reader right learners. Like we can categorize the audience or learners into various groups. Therefore, you must see to that you are presenting the ideas in all these forms. It should be vocally good and visually appealing and verbally enriching, and consider the needs of the audience and to meet the needs continually develop your ideas. So based on the requirement you need to include your content and consider the initial level of interest in your goal, their ability to understand and their attitude toward you and your topic. Even if they don't have any interest, design the process in such a way to develop an interest and can educate on you. So if the audience is for a particular opinion, still you can convince the audience with arguments. Moving on to the next one, gathering and evaluating information. So you need to include some humorous or exciting or interesting experiences and stories to illustrate your points. Evaluate information and select the items that are valid and truthful. Not necessary that you need to give all the information they have read in book or read online. So you need to analyze the topic, to whom you are delivering, when and why and how and etc. And include relevant points. Moving on to the next slide, well-structured speech outline. Identify three or four major ideas that can be remembered by the audience to achieve your goal. Although you give presentation for 1 hour, see to that you have four major ideas which they remember throughout as the effect of your presentation. And try to use keywords predominantly. Identify the keywords and form them into sentences and paragraphs. And while delivering, see to that you use some transition words so that there is coherence while presenting your ideas. Moving on to the next slide, visual aids. As the saying rightly goes, one picture is worth 1,000 words. It helps clarity of idea, emphasizes and dramatizes. Retention of information is better with visual objects, models, charts, and pictorial representations, computer graphics, etc. So, with the advent of AI, having a lot of visual images and other things is easier. Therefore, we should use a lot of visual objects and the rest so that the audiences might feel appealing. Make sure the printed elements are large enough to be seen. And you also have to use your visual aids appropriately. Practice wording and delivery. So you need to choose your ideas and you should have a proper clarity, vividness, and use appropriate language by delivering your content. And it is also important to have proper voice, tone, intonation, gestures, etc. Only then you can confidently express your ideas to the audience. And most importantly, do not memorize because this might increase the stage fear. You shouldn't memorize, rather, you should understand the concept and with the language, you need to explain them. Moving on to the next one, timetable for preparing a speech. This will help you to perform your presentation before better. 7 days before, you need to choose your title and then you need to research on the title. 5 days before, at least, you need to have a proper body of speech, introduction, content, conclusion. At least 4 days before, you need to be thorough with the introduction and conclusion. 3 days before, you need to finish your outline, overall structure of your presentation, and you should also have some additional material and visual aids because at times PPT might not work, you may not have internet connection. Therefore, you need to be ready with the alternative ideas. And 2 days before, you need to have your first rehearsal. 1 day before, you need to have your second rehearsal, and due date, you need to do your speech better. Moving on to the next, if you follow this timetable, it will be helpful for you to deliver your content well. Moving on to the next slide, there are 20 strategies in public speaking. They are proper speech planning, having a proper speech plan, and enough rehearsal. Uh, You need to have proper rehearsal, especially in front of the mirror before doing a presentation. And then confidence in speech. It comes to you only when you are thorough with the concept and then logical organization of ideas. Whenever you present your content, you need to have it in proper order. And the most important factor is smiling face. You need to have a smiling face throughout your presentation. And the next is total engagement in speech. You need to have proper tone, raising and falling tone, like intonation while delivering your content. Again, tonal variation, friendship with the audience. You shouldn't be too strict, whereas have proper rapport with the audience. Maintaining good rapport will help them understand the concepts better. And conscious of pauses, you need not be too fast. Rather, you should give pauses wherever required, and then coherence in speech. Words like however, then, next, later, last, etc. can help you with the coherence. Next one, proper pronunciation, at least before your presentation, whenever you come across new words, you need to learn the proper pronunciation of them so that you pronounce it rightly. And non-verbal communication, gestures, postures are equally important. Because non-verbal, you also communicate your message non-verbally. And then interaction, you need to interact with the audience. You can ask a lot of questions. Humor is nothing but planned joke. While preparing the content, you can prepare humor so that you can include along with your content. And then you can give examples wherever required, because illustrations and examples will help them to understand better. And have eye contact with the audience, have three-dimensional approach, looking at the left, center, and right. Visual aids, wherever required, you need to use visual aids, and you need to be ready to face unexpected situation like power cuts or internet issue. You need to be ready. And next one, time consciousness. If you are allotted with 2 hours, you need to make use of 2 hours fully. You shouldn't extend. So you must be aware of your time. And last and not but not least, seeking feedback. This will help you to perform better in future. So always it is better to seek feedback after your presentation is done. So these are the important strategies which you can follow while delivering your presentation. So I hope you have learned about speech plan and apprehension, stages of apprehension, how you are supposed to overcome them, and what are the reasons of apprehension. And in order to speak effectively, what are the strategies you must follow? All these we have discussed in detail. Thank you so much.